Okay, so welcome to this session on OneDrive. I'm just going to start off with the acknowledgement of country. In the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge the traditional custodians of country throughout South Australia and their connection to land, sea and community. We pay our respects to their elders, past and present, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people today. So, today's session is going to be on OneDrive. We might not need the whole hour to do the session, and we're a fairly small group, so please feel free to jump in with questions. In the PowerPoint that I sent people, I had a little bit around navigating with Teams, but I'm going to not go through that at the beginning, but I will show you this tip here. So if you're joining the webinar with just one screen, and I know that lots of teachers have only one screen, if you're not able to split your screen, a handy tip is if you press the Windows key on your computer and either the left or the right arrow, that allows you to split your screen so you can see the Teams meeting on one side of your screen and then be able to work alongside with what we're doing on the other side. So that's just a tip for using, for following a webinar with just one screen. Right. I'm just going to open up my OneDrive now. And before I do start sharing my screen, I'm just going to put a couple of polls up. So the first one, I just want to gauge if you've already joined a webinar run by my team this year. So you should see a poll come up on your screen. And if you can just tick yes or no if you've already joined a webinar this year. And then click on the submit. Okay, so some of you I've seen before and some of you this is your first time. So hopefully you get something out of today. And then I've got another question as well, just helps me to understand what your roles are so that I can incorporate some of that. So if you can just select what your main role is, whether it's primary, secondary, admin, corporate leadership or other. And just submit that as well. Okay, so we've got a few people in leadership and we've got a bit of an even spread right across the board. Thank you for that. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing my PowerPoint and I'm now going to share my OneDrive. Feel free to unmute yourself and jump in or use the reactions or type questions in the chat. Just know that because I'm going to be looking at my OneDrive, if I miss your question in the chat, please unmute yourself and jump in straight away. So let's go to my OneDrive. Hopefully you can see that now. And I'll just move my teams across. Okay, so you can access OneDrive from office.com. So if you go and open up a browser and you go to www.office.com, you can access it from the 9 dots at the top. Now, if you normally access your email online, you'll see that on Outlook, you've got these 9 dots as well. Any Office product or Microsoft product that you can access online, when you see these 9 dots at the top, that means that you can quickly hop into any of the other apps that Microsoft offers. So let's click on OneDrive. So OneDrive is basically an online storage space. So I've got one more poll that I'm going to get you to do, because before I started using OneDrive, I used to run into all sorts of problems with my USBs. So again, I've got one more poll that I'll ask you to submit, and this is around USBs. So have you ever put one through the washing machine or lost it? Because as a teacher, I used to, prior to OneDrive, live with my USBs and had my whole life on them. And as a consequence, sometimes it was quite stressful. So if you can put in one, or if you've experienced any of those things, and submit, we'll see if anybody else is in a similar situation to me. Okay, someone's lost it in the staff car park, and someone's had their hard drive corrupted as well. So hopefully by the end of today, you'll understand a bit more about OneDrive, so that all these problems that happen when you use USBs or hard drives suddenly disappear, because you'll be converted to be using OneDrive. Okay, so OneDrive is an online storage space. You can use or access it from any device that's connected to the internet. You can also use it offline if you've synced your files to your computer. You have 1 terabyte of space, which is quite a lot, and this can be extended if you run out of space. When we talk about OneDrive, we talk about this being the place where we keep our personal files. So OneDrive is a great place for your work personal files, whereas Teams, and you can see in quick access, I've got some icons here. These are my Teams. They're the files that are our we files that we might share with people in our team. But my files in OneDrive, although you can see some are shared, these are my personal files that I'm not going to be sharing with lots of different people. So as I said, files are normally private unless you share them, and I'll go through sharing a file a little bit later. They can't be shared with people outside the department, except if you have a business case. So if you do have a case where you need to share a file with a parent or governing council member or something like that, you can put in a ticket to the service desk to get that that particular folder blocked. This might just meet someone, if someone live. Okay. Right. The other thing to note that is, if you do cease your employment, so if you're on a contract, or you decide to move out of the department, you will lose access to your files after 30 days. So that's just something to bear in mind if you do happen to move roles or leave your job. Okay, so hopefully most of you have got the training summary, and I'll just drop that into the chat in case you haven't. So I've just basically gone through the first bit, and the first activity is syncing your OneDrive files to your computer. Now, I'm not going to actually go through this. I'm going to show you where it is if you'd like to do it later. However, this only works if you've got Office 365 installed on your computer. Having been out to lots of different sites, if you've got Office 2019 installed, this might not work. But I'll show you how to do it, and then you can see whether you're able to do it. So I'm in OneDrive, I'm in the top here and I've got this nice little button called sync. I'm actually just going to go into one folder because I don't want to sync my whole computer. And if I click on sync there, it will say we're syncing. I don't want to open that. And then this is going to sync in the background. What this will mean is that if I now go to my File Explorer, on the side here, I've actually got OneDrive, and then I've got 2021, and mine is still syncing, but I can now access all my folders that are in OneDrive from my computer. So let's go into that folder there. And you can see here, is that the right folder? My files. That isn't the right folder. Let's try again. Mine's still syncing, but you should be able to access everything that's in here from your File Explorer. So that's quite handy. Okay. Going back into that home view, there's a few things or a few ways that you can see your files and organize them so they're a bit clearer. So along the top here, we've got some different icons here. So if I click on this one here, I can change the look. So if I go to tiles, for example, that shows me like icons. And if I've got images, for example, they show up. If I go to list, it gives me all that information. And if I go to compact list, it just spaces it or compresses it a bit. Okay, from here as well, there's several things that I can do. So if I want to create something new, I can click here and I can create a new folder, or I can create any of the different formats of Microsoft 365 apps that I want. So I can create a new document directly from in OneDrive. Okay. Now, the other thing that's quite handy in OneDrive, if I go into this folder here again, I can click on here or hover on the three dots, and I can actually see who has seen this document. So here I can see that there's 7 people who've viewed this particular document and who they were, and that it's been viewed 11 times. Also, if I've mentioned this document in a Teams conversation, that shows up here as well. So that's quite handy if you've sent a link to a document for staff, for example, and you want to make sure that they've at least opened the document to look at it. You can by hovering on those 3 dots. Okay, the other thing you can do is you can go to version history. So that shows you how many different times it's saved after editing. So that's quite handy, particularly if you've got students who've saved something and then accidentally deleted it. If they've saved it online to OneDrive, they can go back and restore a previous version. So say I made a mistake, I can go back here and click on restore. You'll see that it hasn't erased or deleted that version 4. It's just put a new version on there. So again, if I restored the wrong version, I could go back and restore the right version there as well. So that's version history, and that's really handy to know about. Okay, if I've deleted something as well, I can go into the recycle bin here, and then I can restore something that I've deleted. So let's just go back to that document and let's delete it. Delete. That's deleted from there. And now if I go into my recycle bin, here it is, and I can click and restore. So that's going to put it back in that same folder in a moment, hopefully. There it is. And again, I should have all that history. No, that's not going to do it for me. Yep, so I've still got that history about who's viewed the document as well. Okay, any questions so far? As I said, feel free to come off mute and ask me if I'm skipping over something or you want to see something again. Okay, now the other thing in here is I can share documents. So I wouldn't put a document that I want lots and lots of people to share, like a team of people. But if I want just a colleague to review a document for me, and it's a document that I'm going to be primarily using rather than my team, I might use it in OneDrive. So to do that, I can again right click on those three dots, and this time I'm going to click on share. Now from here, I've got some options. So the default is people you specify can view. And for this one, you need to put in the email address of each person you'd like to view. Instead of that, I'm going to click here, and then I've got some more options. So I can click on people with existing access. That means that if I've already shared a folder and this file is sitting within that folder, then that would mean that people with access to the folder can use that file. Or if I want it to go to anyone within the department, I can choose that one. Now I've also got another setting here. So the default is again that only people can view. But if you want people to be able to edit, you might click that one and then click apply. And then what I want to do now is do copy here, and then it will ask you to copy again. So now that I've copied that one, I can again go and put it in the chat. And now if you click on that file in the chat, you should be able to access that file. So if you can click on that file within the Teams chat, then we'll hopefully see that instead of 11 or 7 viewers, that grows. Can you give me a thumbs up if you're able to see that file in the chat? Thank you. Okay, let's see whether we've got more views. It hasn't come up yet. I might just refresh. And then let's see if we've got that. Okay, let's hover over again. Yep, and now it's changed to 10 viewers because we've got Danielle and David that have just gone in, and Sandra that have viewed that. Now, I might have made a mistake in sharing this document, so I might not want to give access to these people anymore. So again, I can go onto those dots and I can go to manage access. So here I've got people in the department can edit with a link. I want to change that, so I can just click on stop sharing. And then now if you try and click on that link again, you shouldn't be able to access that document. So again, I just go back to that, and you can see now it's been made private again. So anytime you share something, if you want to then take back control of who has access to that, you can do that by managing your access. I'm going to go back to the share for a moment. And just go back in here. So there's another couple of functions in here. So if you want people to just view something but block them from downloading, you can also use that. And if you want to see what changes people have made, you can do open in review mode only, and that will open it up with track changes. So that's quite handy to know as well. Okay, and if it's just can view, then people will be able to open it, download it, but they won't be able to edit it. Okay. Right, so any questions so far? Everyone's okay? Okay, so I might just talk about some of the other things down here. So if you click on recent, that will show you all the different things that you've opened recently that are saved to the cloud. So you can see where they're saved, and you can see that it's not only Word documents, but it's also things like PowerPoints, anything that I've saved to the cloud. I might just as well, we might just get you to do one more shared. So I'm just going to go back into my files, and I'm going to drop in a file in here. Well, actually, let's create a new one, a new Word document. And let's title this excursions. And let's insert a table. Primary. Okay, so I've opened up this Word document. I'm going to go back into my OneDrive. And again, I'm going to refresh my screen and it should be there. Now you'll notice it's called document. So that's not very helpful. So let's go back in here. And in here, I'm going to change it to excursions. Okay, but here again, I'm just going to do a refresh. And there's my excursions document. So now I'm going to share it, and I'd like you to open it up. So let's do the share first. And let's go to people in department with the link. Let's do allow editing and apply. And then I'm going to copy, and then we're going to paste it in. Okay, so this time what I'd like you to do is click on that link in the chat again, but this time I'd like you to type in one of those boxes, and we should be able to see once people manage to click on that link that we see people's names or initials popping up here, and we should be able to see in real time people collaborating. Okay, excellent. So I can see that 4 people are in here. Well, actually, there's +2. And people are just typing their name. That's excellent. So yeah, so you can see that this works in real time. So you can save a Word document or something to your OneDrive and be typing in notes, and everybody can see what's happening. Okay.
Abigail?
Yes, David.
The reason it's opening in Teams is because we're in a Teams meeting. Is that right? Or is that a default?
Is yours opening actually in Teams, or is it opening on the web?
It's opening in Teams.
Okay.
Both the docs that you uploaded.
Okay, so it might be. So if it's opening in Teams and you want to view it on the desktop, you might see something called editing. And if you click on that and go open in desktop.
Yeah, you can open in browser.
Word. Yep, or open in browser, that will work as well.
Yep.
and then you'll get a bit more real estate and you'll be able to see the normal icons. So again,
Yes.
this is, yeah.
If we're working with it in Teams, it's showing the Teams chat, I suppose. From
Yeah,
that.
so I guess it's trying to be helpful so that you can still enjoy the meeting at the same time as working in the document. But if you need more screen real estate, yeah, that option, let's just click continue here. If my computer will cooperate, going to be cooperating.
Also, with Teams, because we use Teams a lot, I think staff get a bit confused about when they see all their Teams files in OneDrive, but Teams and OneDrive talk to each other, right, all the time.
Yeah.
So save something in Teams or upload something, it automatically goes into OneDrive as well. Is that right?
Yep. So because Teams works a little bit differently, so Teams saves things in the back end, which is something called SharePoint. So OneDrive is now linked to Teams. That's why you'll see your Teams down here. So again, if I've got a team that I use all the time, I might want to save my files into a team rather than my OneDrive, because I want to be collaborating with other people that are already in that team, and I don't want to go through each time I want to share a document and go 3 dots share. And
you've already shared it with the right people. They're in that team. That's right. Yeah.
So I can go into my team. Now, if my team doesn't appear down here, I can click on more places, and then I should be able to find the team from within the teams that I access, and then again I can share it here. Now there is a new feature which isn't on OneDrive that can make a folder appear in your personal OneDrive as well. So I might just open up Teams for a moment, and let's bring up a folder. Right. So this is Teams, and there's a new function. If I go into Files in a team, there's this new function which is Add Shortcut to OneDrive. So if I click on that as well, rather than, and I'll go back to my files, it should, here it is, secondary examples. So that link has popped up in my OneDrive. So again, I don't need to click on the team down the side here. I can just click on that link there, and I can see the team's name here. And that will take me to my files that way as well. If I do want to be accessing my team through OneDrive all the time, I can pin that team. So say I use this team all the time, I can just pin it, and then it's going to appear in my quick access all the time as well. Okay, so we talked about my files. The recent is anything that you've used recently. The shared one is an interesting one as well. So if someone's shared something with you, it should pop up here as well. So you've got shared with you and shared by you. So these ones here, you can see lots of different people have shared, but the shared by you should be only you, although it will show you the last person that's used that, access that file. Okay, just having a look at that OneDrive training, and my one's playing up. Let's see where we are. Okay. So I might just now go through some of the icons that are on your OneDrive if you have synced it to your computer. So let's just go in here. So I've got my OneDrive synced here. You'll notice as well I've got Department for Education pop up here. That's because I've got my teams synced as well, but we're just looking at OneDrive. So if you have synced your OneDrive, now go into here. Next to each of the folders, you'll have some different icons. So if it's got a green tick here, that means that it's synced completely to your computer, and you'll be able to access these files offline as well. If it's got a cloud, that means this folder is only accessible when I'm connected to the internet. And if it's got these arrows, that means that it's currently syncing, so it might not be up to date. I'll just show you one more thing to do with the syncing offline. If you click down here, you'll have some visibility, so it will show you what's just been synced. So that's that excursion document that I just created. And in the health and settings as well, you can see what's been synced as well. So at the moment, I've got two things synced. That's my OneDrive and that's my Teams. And I can choose what folders I want to sync and what I want to stop syncing. So that's handy if you've got lots of things saved in OneDrive and you don't have that much room or space on your computer. Okay, I think that's probably all that we wanted to cover through the training summary. But I will show you some websites that you can go to. Sorry, Lola. Hopefully you can rewatch some things. So I'll show you some resources. I'm just going to see if there's someone on mute. Some resources that you can access if you want to find out some more about OneDrive. So the first one is this, which is a link to our YouTube channel. So I'll just copy this into the chat. And if you go to this one, you'll see there's a whole lot of playlists that are all about different Microsoft apps. And one of the lists is OneDrive. So if you go into there, you'll see a whole lot of videos that quickly show you different things to do with OneDrive. For example, there is one about, there should be one about syncing your files, how to sync your Teams files to your device. So if you're having trouble syncing, that might be one to have a look at. But as I said, if you don't have Microsoft 365, you might run into some issues trying to sync. Another place to do or extend your learning about all the Microsoft apps is the Microsoft Learn Education Center. So this used to be a little bit different, but this year Microsoft in May has has transferred all the courses that used to be on the education.microsoft website to the Microsoft Learn website. And here there's a whole lot of different resources that are specific to educators that could be useful for continuing your knowledge. Another place you can go is on Plink. So if you go to the catalogue and you go to by topic, and you go down to, where is it? ICT. There we go. You should be able to find some resources for Microsoft, not specifically OneDrive, but Microsoft here. Another place you can go if you're looking for help is the Ict Help. And if you click on that, that brings you to the edit page. So if I type in OneDrive here, it's going to show me a whole lot of pages that might help me with my OneDrive that is specific to the education department as well. Okay, as I said, we might finish a bit early, and we have. So again, if anyone wants to come off chat and ask some questions, now is your chance.
I've got a question.
Yes.
Publisher, is that going to work in OneDrive, and can I access it on my admin machine? Because I know last year when I tried to sync it, I came to school and I couldn't get any publisher documents.
Okay, so publisher files you can save to OneDrive. However, you'll need to have publisher installed on the computer where you try to open them. So publisher isn't included in the online or Microsoft 365, but you can install it independently. So you can save anything to your OneDrive. It doesn't matter what type. It can be, I don't know, some weird file format. You can save anything, but whether you can open it will depend on whether you've got the program installed on your computer. So on your admin machine, if it's not opening up, then you'll need to check or get someone to install Publisher on that machine for you to access the folders or the files. They won't be lost. It might just mean that the machine hasn't got the right program. Does that make sense?
Yes, that does. I'll need to try it out. Also, when you sync it, will it then automatically sync? You know, so if I'm on my admin machine and then I go to my laptop, it will automatically sync?
Yes, as long as you've synced it, and you've got it, and you see this green tick saying your files are synced, then it doesn't matter what device you're using, you can access your files on whatever device. As I said, just be mindful, if you do have Office 2019 installed on your machines, and I know some schools have that as their Office product rather than Office 365, the syncing might not work. So just be prepared. Any other questions?
Yes.
Yes.
I just wanted to ask our staff that we're rolling out a bunch of new laptops for them, which come through corporate. So they're getting a laptop that's been set up with OneDrive already operating on that laptop. So they're getting it, but they're not really understanding what that actually means. You know, so my role as e-learning leader would be to offer a little bit of guidance there. So basically, if you were to explain in one sentence, what does that mean? Does that just means that everything they save is going to go into OneDrive as a backup, and they can have those files on board, but also in the cloud, or one or the other? Is that basically what you're talking about? And what about the syncing? Because when they open their laptops up, it's always saying, "Oh, we're still syncing OneDrive. Just wait, just wait, just wait." You know, all of that stuff is quite new to a lot of people as well. They're used to going to files and some documents and just opening a doc that's sitting in there and working from there. They're not used to the OneDrive setup.
So I would say to them that OneDrive isn't a backup as such. It is the place where your files are now living.
Right.
If they're saving it in OneDrive, or if they've got Word open, let's just open Word. If they've got Word open and they start a new document, the default, when I go to save it, you see it's got autosave off, but when I go to save, the default is to pick OneDrive, or if you've got it synced, it will appear, or Sites. If you've got it synced, you can save directly into a team.
Right.
So the default is to save it in OneDrive, so that if your computer has an issue, you'll be able to still access your documents from wherever. So OneDrive is really there to help people access their files from wherever they need to, whenever they need to. Does that make sense, David?
Yeah, so that's the landscape now is OneDrive rather than having files living here, there, and everywhere. Make that the base is everything's in OneDrive until presumably until you hit your terabyte limit, which would be very rare to happen.
Yeah.
And then if you're worried about having things on board the computer as well, you can also still do that.
Yep, you can. But again, try and encourage your staff to have OneDrive as the default place to save things, so that, yeah, if I've got lots of stuff saved on my C drive and my computer crashes, I might not have backed that up. But if my computer crashes and I had everything saved in OneDrive, I can still access that.
I think what they would be thinking is, what if I can't get online that day? What if I'm not getting connected and I need a file that's sitting in OneDrive?
Yep. So again, if there's folders that you need to have access to all the time, because there's some important files in there that I want to be working with no matter when,
yeah,
make sure that they've got that green tick and they're always available. So view online, always keep on this device. So they just need to make sure they've got always keep on this device, and then it doesn't matter if you've got internet connection or not, that file will be available on their device.
Right, and I think that's what I think that's what Jake and the ICT guys did when they set up the laptops, was to make sure that everything that had the green tick that staff felt was an important file or document, folder or document, sorry, just in the initial stages, and then certain things that they if they need to clear up some space, they can just leave them OneDrive only, and they would have, then instead of a tick, there'll be a little cloud,
it's
wouldn't
that cloud. Yep.
Yeah.
So I should see if I can. I don't know if I can make this a bit bigger for you.
There's no real downside to OneDrive. I mean, I think some people are a little bit scared of the cloud, that it's going to disappear or something. Maybe, I'm not sure, but
yeah, but
there's a little bit of that, I think.
Yeah, I mean, once you get used to being able to access everything all the time, then you don't really look back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, did anybody else have? No worries. Did anyone else have any questions?
Okay, can you just explain again? So I was just trying to do it then, and I don't know, it wasn't working for me. I've got files on my hard drive. I want to put them into my OneDrive. Do I copy and paste, or how do I get that? Because
okay. I think I skipped that actually. So
I don't want all my files from my hard drive. I just want this school's files.
Yep. Okay. So if I'm on the web, I can go to my files, and maybe I want to create a new folder. So I'll go at the top and click on folder, and then I'm going to call it, I don't know, 2022 and my school name. And this might be, if I'm syncing, this might be the only folder that I sync to my laptop as well. So I'm creating it. So now I've got Flinders, 2022 Flinders Street. I can open that up. I'm just going to make my screen half the size for a moment. And then, so I've got File Explorer as well. And let's just go to C drive. Oops. Let's go to my documents. Okay, so this is my hard drive, and I just want to copy across these files here. I just highlight the ones I want to copy across, and I can simply just drag and drop them in, and they're copied. So if I've got my OneDrive open on my browser, I can easily copy and paste things across. Now, if I've accidentally put it in the wrong place, that's a little bit harder to move. So I might highlight the ones that I want to move because I've copied them to the wrong place. And then I can go move to and select where I want to put them. So it might be that I want to put them in a team, or it might be that I go back into my files and I put them in Flinders Street and I really wanted to put them in 2022 instead. So I can click move here. They disappear from that folder and they'll be in this folder instead once it's synced. There they are. Okay, is that okay, or do you need me to go through it again?
So I have to, so what I did, I was just copying you.
Yep.
But I copied a folder into it, and then I can see all my folders, but there's nothing in any of my folders.
Okay, so
do I need to individually put files?
No, you don't need to. So let's see, what have I got? That one will be okay. So and this
how
one
do
here.
I undo what I've just done? Or
hang on a sec. So first of all, if I'm copying a folder, it will first of all appear as a blank folder. But you see here, up here, it's got uploading. So although I'm clicking on here and it's just got shells of folders at the moment, or it does have a bit in there, but it might take a while for all my documents to come across. So you'll need to wait till that is uploaded and then you'll be able to see everything. So if you drag a folder across, it will take all the items that are in that folder and store it on OneDrive. You don't have to do it independently. Now, if I've made a mistake, I can stop that because actually I don't want all those files coming across. Now, depending on where it is, here I don't want this folder, so I'm just going to go and delete it. You have to delete all the items in this folder. Okay. So because this folder has got folders within it, I can't just delete it, unfortunately. So that's where, if I've synced my computer, I can then go in here and delete it from in here. Let's see if that folder's not synced, so that's not going to work either. So unfortunately with OneDrive, you do have to, if you've got folders within folders, go in and delete them individually. But if you've synced it, and as I said, I don't want to sync this particular folder, but if you have synced it to your computer, you can just go in like you might normally and find where that folder was. Let's just delete this one. And then it will delete it from this machine. And if I go in here into that particular folder, my Adobe training should be deleted. It's just taking a while to sync. Does that make sense, Sandra?
Yeah. It's still it's moved folders over and folders inside folders, but I haven't seen any documents yet. So
yeah. So
I'll wait patiently.
Yeah, depending on the size of the file, it depends on how long it's going to take. So I should then be able to go in and restore those different items if I need to restore those items as well. Okay, any other questions? Okay, well, I might stop sharing that screen and I will share my PowerPoint again. So you will have received this by email again, and those resources that I referred to are on that last page as well. So the last thing that we like to get you to do is to fill out a feedback survey. So if you're able to fill out that for us, that helps us to make our training better for the next time. I'll copy that link as well and put it in the chat. And the best thing about that as well is that that will issue you a certificate for your training tonight as well. Feel free to send me any messages or ask me any questions. You can always email our team, or you can send me a message on Teams as well. There is one other thing that I think isn't in there, and that is the M365 Apps Support and Collaboration team. So I will just share my screen again with that one. Now, no, David, you're a member of this team. Let me just put that back up. So this is a team where you can go and you can see there's a folder called OneDrive. So if you've got some questions about OneDrive and anything to do with OneDrive, feel free to join this team as well. And then you can ask any questions and someone from my team or someone from another school, there's lots of teachers on here, will be able to answer your questions. So I'll just go back and I'll put a link to that team in the chat as well. Okay, other than that, I reckon we might have a few early minutes tonight.
Thanks, Abigail.
No worries, David. Good luck.
Cheers. I'm going to speak to Trudy as well about OneDrive. So.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll stop the recording